Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Community Preservation Committee meeting. LakeCAM is recording. No one else is recording, I'd see. So we'll hop right to it. Budget report. Did everyone get, I sent out all the budget reports. I think there was a question about people not having every month, so I included in tonight's our current budget, but I sent everybody the budgets from the beginning of the year and maybe even the one from December. Did everybody receive those? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Right, that was the first one I think we got in December, but we're gonna get them every month. Like, you get it maybe 5 days into the next month, so this was the one for last month. So, any questions? It is what it is. We have what? Oh, let's see, one more month. Oh, hi Christina. To gather money.
The tax money?
Yeah, the tax money, right? So let's see what our,
For the end of this fiscal year that
Right,
we're.
right.
that's
So
right.
by,
Yes,
The end of
then we
and
start
after
again.
the 4th of July, we will get what we took in for the year.
Mhm.
All right, so seeing as we are on LakeCAM, let's go introduce ourselves, please. Let's start with Barbara.
Barbara Standish, member at large.
Amy Knox, Open Space.
Kathleen Barrick, member at large.
Nancy Yates, Conservation Commission.
Paula Bull, Park Commission.
Nancy LaFave, Historical Commission.
Kathy Murray.
And Mark Resnick from the planning department.
We also have Christina, out in the audience.
Hello, Christina Katsouris, Head of Administrative Office.
Okay, so no questions about the budget. It is what it is. We've only spent money on two things, one being the dues for the coalition, and we did get a thank you letter from them, which I'll print out and put on the next agenda.
How much in the budget? 205.
So, next, we're going to review, and what I sent out, I don't know if it was the latest copy, I've been talking to Barbara, and we have looked at so many over the last months, and so many copies of so many different things over the last few months, that I think it was her recommendation to purge what we've had and just go forward on what we've already approved. And so what we have tonight is what Barbara has passed out. And we'll start with the table of contents. And Sue and Michelle aren't here, so if we have any questions, it'll be kind of hard. We'll have to, but everything that we've talked about in the past is consolidated in here, correct?
Correct. The only thing that was changed was the appendix down. And for the next meeting, I'd like to bring copies of the entire plan, so we have a total clean copy. Nothing has been changed in the body of it since we last saw it, last month, I believe it was. But something does need to be changed that I found. And
Okay.
I don't know if we can talk about that this meeting or.
Yes,
it's not-
yes, we
Or you
can.
can
Yeah,
mention
sure.
what it is,
Yeah.
and then we can edit whatever it needs to be and put that on next month's agenda.
Okay, so all it is on page 18, it says that the application can be found on the town website at lakevillema.org on the Community Preservation Committee tab. It also needs to be noted that it's on page 25 within the plan.
Oh, you've included,
Right,
that's,
that's, because that's all part of the appendix.
right, okay.
That's just like a
Yeah,
typographical
that's
change,
Just,
so,
right,
yeah,
just a-
Not a
so
big thing.
you can just point it out when we bring the completed copy next
Yeah.
time, okay?
Okay.
Alright.
So now, but one thing, Mark, I just noticed on the filled out applications, what mine doesn't have on there is at the bottom, you have attached additional pages as necessary. I didn't have that on mine.
Yeah. I think once we approved the initial application, we put it up on the website and sent it around with a memo to the qualifying departments and committees in the community. So I think that's what they used, and it may have been slightly adjusted afterwards. I think you edited it by putting a chart on the back, and you might have,
The boxes on the top,
yeah,
I
and
just,
cleaned it up a
yeah.
little bit, but, so they've been using the first draft that was approved, but, so.
okay, so do I need to add that to this, do you think, or no, to the bottom? Or is it kind of a given that,
Yeah, I mean, you can, it's often you see it on applications. It's not essential.
So how much is it going to, yeah, it looks like you have everything fit on here pretty tight.
or get out the shoehorn?
So I would
and then-
say if we're looking at step one, you're looking at step one, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say if it's not necessary, let's leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Yes?
That gets my vote.
Okay. All right, so would we like to vote that this is what's going in?
You have to.
Yes. Yes, well, I'm looking for,
Motion,
yes,
a motion, we accept the application.
as presented.
As presented, that would be, step one.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, yeah. All right, step two.
The only change to this one here was I added the box, the approved, not approved, and the date at the top, like the other one.
That's the only change?
Yep.
All right, looking for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the application for step 2 as
Presented.
presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, the exciting part, our first applications for step one.
We have one more.
One more what?
In the packet, to
Oh,
add in the appendix for the request for the project status report.
I'm sorry,
Did you-
it's stuck on the back, yep, okay, sorry. The exciting part has to wait. Project status report, I ran this by Todd, he said it was fine.
So the only question is, which one do you want first? Do you want the criteria first, or do you want the the application first?
Would you want me to read the criteria first?
That makes more sense to me, but usually things like this are on the back of a document. But doesn't matter, I can switch it anyway.
Anybody? Mark?
No, I think the way this is fine.
So it would be page 27 and then page 28 like that?
Just the way that it is.
Yeah.
You don't think there should be first before you fill out the words?
Does anybody? It doesn't matter. I guess it probably usually be nice to read what you're supposed to do before you do it, but, does it make any difference to you, Barbara?
No, it doesn't, that's why I'm,
Okay, what do you think?
just the printer in me wants it this way, but that's,
The printer and you want it this way
because
or?
it's, yeah, the way
Or
that
this
it is.
way.
But
Oh,
I think, I understand, and that was the other thought that I had. It makes more sense to know
You gotta read it and then.
what the guidelines here are and what you have to do before you fill out. You should know. So I'm not opposed to changing it.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
so leave it the way it is,
Will
is
people
that
think
the?
to turn it over to
I
you,
know.
read this part unless you
put a statement like, please look at the back.
Yeah, see other side for directions.
Yes.
That's right, so I'll switch it.
Okay, somebody make a motion?
I make a motion to change the request project status report. Make them,
So make page 28, 27, and 27, 28.
Yeah.
All right, second anybody?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now can we get to these types of? Okay, so our first application is from Historic.
No, it's from the Cemetery Commission.
Well, it's under, she checks Historic, but it is from the Cemetery
Yes,
Commission.
but it's a historic project.
Right.
Project, yeah.
A
Yes,
historic project
Yes.
that would be funded under that section.
but it is from the Cemetery Commission,
That's
sorry.
correct.
Under Historic, in the pie chart. So repair of broken stones and return falling stones to their bases and foundation. And my understanding why she hasn't actually named the cemetery, and I don't know if she talked to you about it, Mark, but I
Yes,
think they haven't made their list of which is more important.
right. They need to prioritize they haven't met a lot in order to prioritize this, but over the next few weeks, they will. I believe in Middleborough, they've used CPC funds and in many other communities as well to do gravestone repairs. A lot of the old ones that are tipped or they're fallen, they're broken in half. And there are people who specialize in fixing them depending upon, what needs to be done for each of them, so.
I do have a question, maybe Nancy could answer that, and I just thought of it actually, is, how do they qualify as historic? I mean, if there's one that's from 2020 that got broken, does it actually have to be historic?
Well, it depends on what you mean by historic. Yesterday's history, right?
That's true,
So,
but I'm thinking, what,
Unless you put
what do you
a
usually
range
call
on
it?
it. But the Cemetery Commission is the group, I think it falls within the category because many of the really broken stones are very old.
Right, well, I know that.
And they're going to do the oldest ones, I would assume, it would be logical to do the oldest ones first because those are the ones you need to preserve.
Right.
Is that
Mhm,
answer?
yes.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So,
So this would come under the, is your project allowable? I'm assuming it comes under rehabilitate or restore, under historic. And
Yep.
that's a yes, allowable funds.
on the back, Paula, of this one that we just have,
Page 24.
Oh,
24.
is the chart.
It's here.
Here,
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sure it's here somewhere.
it's in today's stuff.
Oh,
We just
That's
looked
right in
at.
front of you.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
that's
mine.
the.
She just gave it to me.
Oh, okay.
but it's in today's stuff.
It might be,
Okay. All right, but you can borrow mine.
okay.
Yeah, there's another. Paula, there's another. Back, it's in there.
I think I have that.
There you go.
So would we want to?
Oh, there it is, I've got it,
Okay,
thank you.
Got it.
It was on
Okay.
the back page.
All right,
Would we want to ask on the project update what specific stones were repaired, just so we know that they were the older ones, or is that not?
I assume when they come back with step 2, that they're gonna have to tell us what they're gonna do before we make a recommendation that it
Yeah.
be done,
Okay.
and we might even have a site visit, cause Paula's asked me about site visits, so we would actually do site visit or set one up if you can come or if not.
Good idea.
And, we'd go out and look and see what they were gonna do and what cemeteries they were gonna do them at.
Yep.
Okay?
So what we're doing tonight is just saying they're
It's
passing
eligible,
step
so,
one.
and,
It's eligible.
and, right.
Okay, good.
they're eligible and,
But it's incomplete.
No, so it's complete for step one. So you would vote that it's an eligible project. That way they will then expend the time and the effort to put a full project together. You don't want some local organization to spend a lot of time and effort to put an application together and for it not to be an eligible
Okay.
item.
so that's all we're doing tonight,
Yeah.
is deciding whether or not they're eligible, and then it gets more complicated, but you wouldn't wanna put them through that.
Right.
If we didn't have to.
Okay.
So, and step two applications will be available after this meeting and due by July 24th. And our next two meetings after that would be August 1st and August 15th. And I have not tried for the police station yet, because they said you couldn't do it more than, 2 or 3 months in advance, I don't remember. But whatever, after this meeting, I'm gonna try to schedule that in. Sue had asked if this summer we could, change the meeting time to 7 o'clock. I think she has to work late, and probably part of the reason she's not here tonight, so if nobody has any trouble with that, when I schedule those meetings, I'm gonna schedule them to 7. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. All right, sounds good, so. Project is eligible? Should we take a vote? Everybody vote? All right, so I need a motion.
I move that we accept the step one eligibility of the Cemetery Commission's request for gravestone repairs and invite them to go to step two.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Do we have to amend that on the condition that we have seen that before we go to step two?
No, because step 2, they'll tell us what we're supposed to see.
Okay, so we
Right.
don't have to see it before.
No. All we're doing tonight is determining that they're eligible for that project.
All right.
Now they're gonna go into the complicated steps of figuring out which are the worst stones in the worst state of disrepair, would be my estimation. All right, so next, John Pond Park Bathhouse by the Lakeville Park Commission. From Melissa Turcott. Our long-term project is to build a combination bathroom and storage unit on John Pond Park. Right now, we're asking for the funds to have the site plans drawn up and engineered so that we can apply for future funding. And they're asking for, and we should have included that in the last motion, the amount, $10,000, so we'll do it.
You're not approving the amount.
No, we're not, but that's what they're asking for, okay? Anyway, the amount of CPA funds requested for this, for the plans, are $25,000, and the total estimate cost for the project would be $500,000. This has been something that has been in the works for years in different variations. We have been working with the town planner for about a year to get the project back off the ground. Melissa Turcott is chairman, correct?
Chairman of the Park Commission.
Okay. So,
So
Chairperson.
does this fall under recreation acquire?
No, so
Create.
this would be under the rehabilitation, because this would include more than just the design of a bathroom building. It includes, so right now, the town, through the different funding sources, bringing water to the site. This would include a septic design, it would include redesign of the parking lot and reconstruction of the parking lot, making it accessible, making the pathways accessible to all the fields, which if they currently are not, some drainage improvements as well. So it's more than just the building.
I think it has to be ADA compliant.
Yes, everything would have to be, anything we touch would have to be ADA compliant.
And this would come under recreation, right?
So this would come under recreation and under rehabilitation because it's an existing park.
even preserve,
What?
preserve,
Well,
that's fallen back, Well, it can be more than one, right?
Yes, yes.
So would step 2 be $25,000 that they're asking?
Yes, so
Yes.
step 2, they would be putting in a full application with a more detailed explanation, some additional, I believe.
So if it was recreation,
They
it
did
could be under
include,
create
like,
and
An
rehabilitate?
area, yeah, but they would include, probably some rough sketches or something that would then be, fully developed if the project was funded into architectural plans and engineered plans, so.
Did you want to distribute these? That definition?
Yeah, we can.
Let me just take one.
I'm not sure, but maybe Paula can answer this. There are bathrooms there, but they're pretty decrepit.
There,
Or
no,
they haven't been opened in
the
years.
building has been demolished,
Oh, it's gone. Oh,
yes, so.
Tells you how long
what
since I've been
We're using porta pots.
okay.
Yes.
You're gonna take one and
So-
pass the rest down, please?
So what I'm just passing down is just a little,
Is there any-
explanation of an amendment to the statute as it relates to changes made in 2012, and one of which at the bottom where it's just highlighted the last 3 lines. And Kathy,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. It says, and provided further with respect to land for recreation use, rehabilitation shall include the replacement of playground equipment and other capital improvements to the land or the facilities thereon, which make the land or related facilities more functional for the intended recreational use. So I just printed this out just as a little further detail on recreational uses that are allowed, so.
We should all keep this in our books.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Yep.
So it sounds like this would be eligible.
Anyone else?
My question is, are there gonna be other funds, like are you guys applying for grants or anything to help fund this?
Yes, so, Friday, we are submitting a grant that does, allow for the construction of buildings. It's called, it's under One Stop Grants for small town and rural communities. So our plan is to submit one of those grant applications for next year. So the other alternative is there are what's called park grants, but for small towns, the funding amounts are like a max of 100,000. So it really wouldn't be enough to accomplish what we needed to do. So it kind of leaves the one-stop small town and rural community grant.
Right, and a lot of the grants, are looking for a shovel-ready project. They're not looking to really fund maybe this part of it to do the plan. So I think a lot of CPA communities use CPA funds to have that. Now you have the plan and you got a project that's shovel-ready, and when you put it in, you got a much better chance of, Yahoo, look, they're ready to go. And then you got these other people that, oh, they need the plan, and then they need the this and this and this, and you're ready to go, so that puts you higher up on the list to get the money. Okay, so let's have a motion. Nancy, you were doing good.
I move that we accept the John Pond Park bathhouse put forth by the Lakeville Park Commission, step 1 for determination, and invite them to apply for step 2.
I second
I don't know if
the
that's
motion.
exactly what I said before, but. that's right.
Close.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 3. This one has a lot more information with it. Maybe they won't have as much work to do on step 2. All right, so this is the historic townhouse roof replacement from the Lakeville Historical Commission. Remove existing red cedar shingle roof, add 1/2 inch underlayment and re-roof with red cedar shingles. Detailed plans and specifications attached. The amount of CPA funds requested, $30,000. Total estimated cost, $60,000. Plans, pricing, and specifications have been secured through the town administrator and facilities department offices. So, you have a nice picture. I would say it looks funny from above.
I'm trying to figure out who it is.
Oh,
Who
it's
is this?
right outside.
The building erroneously called the Old Town Hall.
Oh,
That's the building.
and they called it the old
That
town
has
house.
Historic townhouse.
It's the
Okay.
historic townhouse is the correct,
Even though it says Town Hall on the front, but that's a 1920s original sign reproduced for historic reference, but.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Thank you.
So would this come under preserve or rehabilitate and or restore?
Does it come
probably
under
both.
restore?
Maybe you can have more than
Yeah.
one,
Under both.
Does it
right?
come under restore or rehabilitate
Yeah.
or both?
Preserve,
As
rehabilitate,
preserve
restore,
Or restore. it would be
Yeah,
under
would be both.
historical.
yeah. Oh, we got that. Looks like a lot of stuff is here, so they're a step ahead going to step 2.
So, the town has submitted a grant to Mass Historic for the funds. However, you know, like with many grant applications to the state, it's uncertain whether we would get funded. So this is a way of, because the roof is apparently in significant need of replacement. There's a lot of water leakage and, you know, it'll deteriorate even more. So if the grant application is not funded, they would like to fund it through the CPA funds.
Plus, there's already been a town appropriation towards the
For the
cost of the
match,
repairs a number of
yes.
years ago. So there is money that the town voted on at town meeting to put into a fund to move forward. And then all sorts of things happen, including the price of everything going
Oh,
very high.
yes.
So they do have like, I believe it's 30,000.
And that's something that I'm looking for anyway, that people come to get a project done that already have some funding and that we would put them over the top to actually get it done. And I can say from the horrible damage that I had at Betty's Neck, that if you need a new roof, you really needed a roof, because then it just gets more and more expensive to fix all the things that get wrecked. I lost a whole ceiling in my visitor center because the roof did not get fixed in appropriate amount of time, or quickly, let's put it that way, so.
I make a motion to establish that step 1 for this project is eligible funding and it's approved. For step 1,
Step 1, and we invite them to come back with step 2.
yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining. I believe it might be considered conflict if I was to vote yes or no.
Well, I don't know,
Maybe
that's
probably-
something that we haven't really determined yet. I would think at step 2, we're only voting that it's eligible. I mean, you can do that if
I'm
you
gonna-
want,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just not
abstain.
saying if it's necessary, but we need to find out before we get to step 2.
Yes.
If people have to abstain if they are, because that's when we'll actually be voting to give the money.
And I think that's something to look into though, because you're a former member of this committee. You're representing the historic, but you
Right.
are a former member of the committee, so I would think that you do not have to abstain.
I would rather err on the side of
Okay.
caution. And
Yeah.
if
Because I raised
but the
the same
finding is that I
question.
can
Yeah, Paul
vote, then
asked
I
me
will
that
vote.
question
But
too.
at this
Okay.
point in time, I would say no, that I should.
I will check. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
I
would be
will
great.
find out for certain, and so for your next meeting, we'll know for certain.
I don't
Okay.
wanna have our votes questioned.
Because that's gonna happen. All right. Okay, So,
And we have $205,000 to approve, is that what
well,
we?
no, we don't. We won't know how much money we have until into July at the end of the fiscal year. Then we'll know exactly how much. I think the estimate originally was 238.
Right.
I don't know if we're gonna get there or not, but
It
We're on
was
the
in
way.
that range, yeah.
yeah, a couple of more months to bring in some tax money. But I would say most everything's been due already, but there's always
So the
trickle
public
in.
has until the end of June to pay their taxes if they haven't. Is it? How it
Yes.
is?
Well, yeah, so the money gets distributed into the account based on, I don't know if it's based on collections or based on anticipated collections, so. But,
But our budget, we had conservatively passed the budget at 175.
right.
So,
So that's good.
yeah, that's what we're looking at. It's certainly nothing that we are seeing here is over anything that we have, so. Anyway, okay. Wow, so we have 3 eligible projects. And thinking that we were wondering if we were gonna get any, and say that's pretty great.
Did
It's a
you say
start.
we had another one?
No,
That
3.
came in?
No, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
Gravestone repair, historic townhouse, and John Pond Park.
Oh, I thought you was talking about one that came in late, did you?
That was actually an application that you needed to approve, step 2, application format that we needed to approve.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Last thing on the agenda is the chapter 61 removal process. This is something that Michelle had emailed to people, something that they did in Plymouth. And it came up at our last meeting, but it wasn't on the agenda. Actually, I hadn't even seen it until the night before our last meeting to ask, to say we're gonna talk about it at the meeting, so it never made it on the agenda. So we did talk about it a little bit before we cut it off, and I offered to put it on this next agenda. Basically, it's something that Plymouth did, and I guess I'm gonna be the first one to give my opinion of, we're a brand new committee. We're just learning how to do our job. As it is, things are complicated because we're still in the process of fixing the plan and doing the appendix, and I don't even know if it's in our purview. What this entails would be approving money for appraisals for chapter 61 properties in a change in use. I've been involved with the town for 25 years. I have never seen a 61A project come through for a change in use. What we get, as a selectman, I saw ones that came in for sale as being on conservation. We saw ones that came through for sale under a 61A or B project. Once something comes for sale, the town has the right of first refusal. And it's the selectman's job, as we've seen recently, to decide whether we move forward on that option or not. Now, in this rare case where a project just came up for a change in use, I had never seen that before, and I didn't really even know the procedure, but the procedure is you get an appraisal on that property, the town does. And at this point, Holloway Brook property came up, and they wanted to do a change in use. And the selectmen paid for the appraisal. The selectmen are working, I'm sure Mark can tell you, because they probably have him working on it too, is to come up with a process that they want to use. So my opinion is it's not really our job, number one. Number two, this, I don't even know if it's a bylaw or whatever it is, has that money that can be used for that, and it doesn't look like it goes by town meeting. I mean, I stood up at town meeting myself and said, no money from CPA will be used unless it's approved by town meeting. So either this process that Plymouth does has to go by town meeting for approval, that we could always do that, but Why would we spend our money on appraisal if the selectmen are gonna have it in their budget to do the appraisal and it's their job whether they move forward on it or not? I don't see at this point in our brand new committee that we haven't even have a year under our belt yet, why we would go on to another large step like that. I feel if people have a problem with however the selectmen are doing it, that individuals can go forth and do that. If something's gonna go to town meeting, somebody can work on it. But as a committee, I think my first thought would be this is a selectmen's project and they're doing it. If we have something to say about it individually or even as a group, we could give our opinion. Or, I mean, heaven help that we ask to have a joint meeting and ask if they need our help without just deciding that we're gonna do this or that we're gonna move this forward. So, Michelle's not here tonight and neither is Sue, so, let him go next and give his.
So just to clarify a few things, because what you said, everything you said was correct, but jumped around a little bit, so.
As usual.
So, it's okay. So just to clarify, when someone takes a property out of chapter land, it goes to the Board of Selectmen. They have certain statutory requirements that they have to file and notify and submit in order to remove land from chapter land. And the process is controlled and goes through the Board of Selectmen and is controlled by statute, state law. Towns often adopt their own quote procedures for the internal review of that submittal. So we have drafted for the Board of Selectmen, which has done an initial review at their last meeting, a set of procedures for them to follow. The first part of the procedures is basically the statute is complicated. You have to read it a number of times to try and figure out exactly the process. And so the first part of it is an explanation of the process. What are the steps? What is the select board's responsibility, whether it's conversion or whether it's a sale? And then the second part of it is kind of the internal procedures. Who does the selectman notify? What kind of meetings do they have? It includes some more explanation following the statute, but it also includes kind of some internal procedures as well. And so the select board has drafted that, make comment on it at their next meeting. I believe it will again be on the agenda on June 12th, I believe, is when their next meeting is. It does include, the draft now does include a notification of the CPC, but it's for informational purposes. It says that specifically in the bylaw. The select board, should they choose to purchase a property, may come to this committee and ask that the committee approve or recommend the approval of funding. So again, being an evaluation committee is what you really are of applications. As a board, you probably shouldn't be taking positions on whether an application should be, followed, through and purchased or not. Individually, if you want to go to the selectmen's meeting, as Nancy said, and make comments as a citizen, that's fine. But so this board would be notified, kind of not informally, but as for informational purposes. Other boards and committees that people sit on, such as the planning board or Conservation Commission, and other departments, that may not statutorily be required to be notified, would, there's a list and those committees and boards do have the ability to comment on the applications.
I just
So,
have
and,
to
and as it
interject.
relates to the Holloway Brook application, the select board had an appraisal done. It was submitted to the owners of the property as required by the statute. And then when it's a conversion, the applicants can withdraw their application at any time. And after the town submitted its appraisal, they withdrew their application.
I just want to interject one thing is, I think, that there was some reason to be upset that maybe CPC wasn't notified that it was coming out of chapter 61A, but the original list, I think, we're a brand new committee. I think maybe we just didn't make it on the list yet, I don't think, and being, like Michelle on planning board, myself on Concom, we knew, but I think with it being written down with the new administration that we have a lot of new people in town, and I think the old way, there were only a few people on the list. The new list to me that I've seen looks like it has just about everybody and their brother on it, so everybody's gonna know. So I think that piece has already been taken care of. True?
Yes, so the statute requires that it be submitted to the select board and be copied to the planning board, maybe one other board or commission, and then like the state forester. So there's it gets distributed to like 4 people or boards, I think 3 in the town. So that's the way it's always been because you just followed the statute and you didn't have your own town policies. So this is what the select board is reviewing, and that list of boards, once it's received and determined to be a full application, a completed application, that application would then be distributed to the committees and the boards on the list.
When I read this, I first tried to look at this project allowable, and I don't think it would fit into anything here.
Which,
This request to pay for appraisals?
yeah, well, that's really not necessary anyways because appraisals aren't that expensive. There's also a timeliness to this by the statute. So the statute requires that once it's submitted, and the town has 30 days to complete an appraisal. So your clock's running right away. So once we got our application was submitted to the select board, Ari forwarded to town council to determine if it's a completed application and met the requirements of the statute. But at the same time, he also did whatever he did to get an appraiser on board to do an appraisal of the property. So,
I
because
just
you
think
need
it's
to have, you have 30 days to do that
We
appraisal.
wouldn't even be able to comply with that regulation.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Well, I mean, you're
Right.
gonna
I'm
speak
sorry,
up.
Be able to
we
comply.
wouldn't be able to comply.
Right,
I mean,
To support that
I
because
agree.
we have to wait until an application.
right.
well, so for the appraisal, you may be able to say it's administrative funds. I don't really know how you call it administrative funds because it's not a process that goes through this board.
Right.
So I don't know why submitting and paying for an appraisal, which might run, anywhere between $500 to $1,500, would have to come through here. I'm sure the select boards and the town administrator's budget can more than cover.
I also see
That
it as a
occasional
conflict of
expense.
interest of this committee. I don't think we have a place to request to see this. And I don't think it's our job. I don't think it's within the scope of this committee to do this.
But another thing that we've already said is that the money can come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
easily, that money can stay in our bucket for some other things that we need. Paula, did you have, I'm sorry, no,
That's okay.
go ahead.
My take on it from Michelle was that she wanted us to follow the process. And I think you've described the process in detail. But I don't know why we have to follow a process when the town departments follow that and should inform us. Why do we have to take it on ourselves to follow that process when the town committees, the select board, do that and they inform us? I don't see that as something, I don't know how to say this.
Another job that we have to do.
Yeah, we've got enough on our plate. So why are we following a process that is somebody else's responsibility to inform us on?
And that's why you shouldn't, because it is under
I mean,
the
I
Board of
think that she
Selectmen.
was asking us to follow the process. I don't know all the details, but from what I read, that I had some information on it from, I think it was Plymouth. And they named all the people that it goes through. And maybe, you know,
Just because another town adopts certain procedures or policies or a bylaw, it doesn't mean that you want to adopt the exact same thing. I mean, I write over the last 25 years, lots of bylaws, ordinances, some planning related, some totally not. And, you know, and you never copy verbatim
yeah.
some
I would have to-
other communities'
Yeah.
bylaws. So just because it's in Plymouth doesn't mean that it should be in Lakeville. So,
Yeah, I trust that the town will make the right decision and inform us.
Right.
And I don't want to take on another
Right.
project.
And that we're notified is good, so it's on our radar, so that we kinda have it over here, so that if they do come forward with an application, we kinda know what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for informational purposes.
Can we make a motion?
Well, anybody else have anything to say? Nance?
No, I totally agree. If somebody's already doing it, we shouldn't duplicate.
Okay,
I hope I'm wording this correctly. I make a motion that the Conservation Preservation Committee not pay for the appraisals that are required through the Chapter 61 removal process. Is that what we're looking
Did you say
Is
conservation?
that
Did I
the
say
issue?
no,
that
community
we-
preservation.
I don't know.
Preservation. Oh, sorry.
I don't know what
Community
the,
Us
preservation.
following the
Community
process.
preservation.
why, was there some, did she submit something that requested that this committee do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
okay.
that's what was recommended, I think, last month, that we pay for the appraisal. in
Yeah, I
this
know that,
process.
yeah. she
Well, that
wanted-
we move forward in making,
The whole process sounds.
Yeah, she wanted you to like move forward a whole bylaw or something, a whole,
She wanted us to
Procedure.
follow the process.
that, the request was that we do something similar to Plymouth's, which I guess we don't feel that that's necessary. And that we would, it would make us paying for the appraisal without having to go through our process of
Right.
going to town meeting.
Right,
well, not if
So,
you did it under as administrative funds, but still, it's,
Questionable.
yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing that
Right.
because you shouldn't be,
It's not our job.
I would agree.
it's, yeah, that's correct.
So I think that was,
Oh, I see, that's,
Okay.
okay, let me
Yep.
fix this
okay,
proposal.
try again.
Okay, I make a motion that the Community Preservation Committee do not develop a bylaw on the internal procedure for Chapter 61 lands, and we do not consider paying for the appraisal that is required within this process.
that's quite clear.
Correct. Can we amend that by saying we don't have to follow this process?
No, that's not,
You're giving details, but I mean, to even bring the process to us is not appropriate. Because We're not, that is.
Well, you're not, yeah, you're
The
not.
town is involved with that, not us.
Yeah, well, that's what her motion
She's just
basically said,
detailing it
yeah.
out. Okay.
That's kind of complicated. Can we make it simpler that at this time we are not interested in following?
The process.
All right, how can we make it really simple?
Take no action. That would be the simplest thing. So
Thank you,
you're-
Kathy. All right, at this,
Take no action.
all right, at
Sounds
this,
good.
go ahead. Make a motion, I'll make the motion, somebody can say, so move. Make a motion that
The committee take no action.
the committee take no action on this
Process.
chapter 61 removal process.
Second.
All
Oh,
in
so
favor?
moved, I'm sorry.
Oh, so moved. All right, I need a second.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good. So, are you gonna notify the people that they can move forward with their second?
Mhm.
All right, so Mark from the planning department's going to, tell our 3 applicants that they are eligible to move forward with
Step 2. Step 2.
step 2, application. Our next meeting is August 1st. All right, so the step 2 applications will be available and due July 24th. At that time, I think we will, at that time or maybe before, no, it'd have to be after the applications are in, after July, so sometime between July 24th and, August 1st, I will send out some kind of a schedule or whatever of people if they wanna go and look at the sites.
Yeah, we'll send the full applications out to everybody. And, if someone feels they need to do a site visit as a group, let us know. If it's like a cemetery and you just wanna go walk it yourselves so that you can see them, then that's
Well, we
fine
do at
too. I mean,
Concom.
it's summertime, so
Yeah.
schedules might be a little difficult.
We'll set a date, maybe like when I'm gonna go or if he's gonna go, and if people wanna go together or if they wanna go on their own, they can, but I'll set a date. So if you wanna go as a group, you can, or if you can't make it, then you could go on your own.
Okay. When's the next meeting?
August 1st. And I will tomorrow get
So
up into trying to get the
idea would
police
be
station
We would do
again.
it prior to August 1st.
Pardon?
We would do it prior to August 1st.
Or if you didn't have a chance by August 1st, I mean, we have an August 1st and an August 15th meeting. If there are
Okay.
questions or whatever at our August 1st, we might not be making that recommendation till the 15th, it
So
depends.
at least before the 15th.
Unless it's like cut and dry and we do approve it on the 1st. Either way, it's not gonna go on till what, unless there's a special, it won't go on until the November, the fall town meeting, right? So we certainly have plenty of time, so if we wanted to decide that we weren't gonna do the recommendation till the 15th, or we needed to work on it more. So I will hop to try to get the police station again. That seems to be the easiest, and I think it's better for LakeCAM too, they're all set up, so. And there are no minutes. Because they're on the tape recorder, and there's a few questions about that meeting, of who said what. So, hopefully for the next meeting, I'm sure for the next meeting we'll have 2 sets of minutes, because now we have LakeCAM, so that will make it easier. Anybody have anything else? No? Say thank you, Barbara.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, it's just like say thank you, Barbara. I'm like, thank you.
Well, I know you were on vacation too, so,
Oh.
I mean, this one was a little hard. He was away, I was on vacation, and so were you, so trying to pull it all together was a little complicated, so. But thank everybody for coming, and, motion to adjourn,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.